Brand new footage just hit the internet, and it's blowing up faster than a half-court buzzer beater. Tina Pow, she hacked Caitlin Clark. Her arm is like being grabbed by Tina Pow, and she does that off. A day when the refs don't call the bear her, one of the worst missed calls I've ever seen in basketball. This is another year and another case of WNBA referees not making the right calls when it come to Caitlin Clark. This is crystal clear, slow motion proof that Caitlin Clark was absolutely targeted by the Atlanta Dream, and not in a let's play tough defense kind of way. No, this was more like, let's see how far we can push the rules before someone notices. And guess what? The refs didn't just miss it. They practically co-signed it. Let us know what you think of the refs down in the comments below. Let's go. Let's watch the play here. Friday to reset things. As you can see, she dribbles over to the wing, pushes off a little bit, and hits that three. Now, if you slow things down, and if you actually go frame by frame, you can see that Pow had two hands on Caitlin. It wasn't just a one-hand hand check. She was kind of grabbing her with two hands in a sequence that looked more like wrestling than a basketball play. Clark was held, hugged, and full-on body checked. We're talking jersey grabs, hip locks, the whole nine. It wasn't just one aggressive move. It was a highlight reel of cheap shots. And while all that was happening, what did the officials do? Took a vacation. Right there on the court. Whistles tucked away, eyes on the ceiling. You couldn't script it worse if you tried. This is some of the worst refereeing I've ever seen to not call a defensive failure. Like, this is not just a hand check, this is a double jersey grab. WNBA referees, they're making it so damn hard for them to make the right calls at the right moment. But here's the part that really throws the logic out the window. The internet is blaming Caitlin. Yep. Instead of rallying behind a player getting treated like a tackling dummy, the online trolls showed up like it was their Super Bowl. She pushed off, they say. She initiated it, really. If grabbing someone's jersey with both hands is considered defending now, someone needs to rewrite the entire basketball rulebook. Let's break down the scene that's now burned into every fan's brain. Caitlin Clark, who moves like a guided missile when she decides to attack the rim, was going head-to-head with Tina Pow. But this wasn't defense. It was a one-woman demolition job. Pow wasn't in a stance. She reached out like Clark had taken the last cookie. She grabbed Clark's jersey with both hands, almost like she was trying to block a train with a beach towel. Pow is on her. Pow grabs her hip. Easy here. So Caitlin's trying to blow by Tina Pow. Tina Pow is not a good enough defender to play flat like this. Two hands on KM5 jersey. Then she goes around the hip. Caitlin shoots from so far back. Oh my God. And just when you think, okay, foul incoming, nothing. Not a peep from the officials. But wait, it gets better. Clark, trying to get free, extends her arm slightly. A standard move for any guard under heavy pressure, especially when the defender is already off balance. Not a shove, not an elbow, just a natural separation. But somehow, that's what everyone decided to focus on. Not the double-handed hold, not the blatant body bump, just that minor arm movement. And suddenly, she's the villain of the clip. It's not an offensive foul, and if it's an offensive foul, the offensive foul comes way after the defensive foul. Even if it wasn't for the hand, I don't think that that's enough for push-off to call an offensive foul, especially when the defensive player's off balance. Watch it again in slow motion. Clark was already clear of the defender before the contact even happened. She had the angle, the speed, and the momentum, but thanks to the Dream's wrestling tactics, she never got the foul she earned, and instead of sympathy, she got slandered. It's wild. Let's talk about the hypocrisy. Last season, the narrative was, Caitlin needs to toughen up. Every time she got knocked down, the response was a shrug and, welcome to the W. Remember when Gino said this, and Diana said it best, this kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's perenning, Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set. They handled the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if you're a WNBA player, if you're any kind of player, you're going to say, I'm going to make a statement. But now that she's learned to use her body to fight through the hits, the criticism has flipped. Now it's, she's too physical. Which is it? You can't say she's too weak for the league 1 year and how dare she push back the next. This isn't about one play or one player. It's a recurring theme. Clark isn't getting superstar calls. She's getting singled out. And the scary part is it's being normalized. Every time the refs swallow their whistles, it sends a message. It's okay to play rough with her. Just don't let her score. Remember when Alyssa Thomas did this and it wasn't even called a flagrant foul? Meanwhile, Clark keeps playing through it all. No complaints, no tantrums, just buckets. She's getting hacked and hammered and still dropping dimes like it's a free clinic. If you ask me, that's not just skill, it's toughness at the highest level. Caitlin is past Tahina Paupo here. Tahina Paupo's stopping her with her arms like this, under jersey, stopping her. There is an arm exchange, because she's in such bad defensive position, is already, look at the way her feet is before the contact. She's throwing herself out of the play anyway, the worst part. This whole conversation should have been about protecting the league's biggest rising star. Instead, the conversation has been hijacked by armchair referees and salty Twitter fingers. Paupo was clearly outmatched and resorted to grabbing and pulling, but somehow, Clark is the one under fire. It's madness, and let's be real. The league needs Caitlin Clark. She's not just a player, she's an engine, pulling in fans, raising ratings, selling jerseys. The least they can do is protect her like every other star before her. Because if this continues, the message is loud and clear. You're only allowed to shine if you do it quietly. So if you believe in fairness, in consistency, and in not letting double standards slide, it's time to speak up. Caitlin Clark doesn't need favoritism. She needs the game to be called the way it's meant to be, fairly. It is a mired situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger. Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands, and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine. Let's call it what it is. Blatant double standards on full display. When other players throw their weight around, tossing elbows, pulling jerseys, applying pressure, they're praised for their toughness. They're lauded as gritty, as tenacious defenders doing what it takes to win. But the moment Caitlin Clark uses a shoulder to create space, or extends an arm just enough to escape a defender's grasp, suddenly it's a controversy. Suddenly the rulebook comes out. But this isn't about maintaining the integrity of the game. This is about controlling the narrative. Caitlin is now the WNBA's biggest draw, its headline act. She fills seats, boosts ratings, and drives the conversation. And when you're that visible, you're bound to become a target. Not just for defenders on the court, but for critics everywhere. Because everybody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with look at the wrist. How easily it looks like. She's shooting those threes and hitting those threes in the clip that she's doing it. Go into the rack. All these various things that show she's even stronger than she was a year ago. And you see it in the strong numbers. 13 points, 6 boards, 7 assists in 23 minutes of action. Let's be honest. If this same sequence had happened to someone like Sabrina Ionescu or Kelsey Plum, the chatter would be about how the refs blew an obvious foul. But because it's Clark, the storyline shifts. Suddenly she's being labeled a dirty player. It's not just inconsistent, it's intentional. And what makes it even more baffling is that despite being the one constantly mugged on the floor, she's rarely rewarded with a whistle. In the entirety of the preseason, she didn't get to the free throw line once. Not once. Think about that. We're not talking about a single missed call anymore. We're talking about a trend that can't be ignored. There's a very real resistance to letting Caitlin Clark just hoop, just play her game, without every move being examined under a microscope, twisted, or blown out of proportion. And that's the real issue here. And another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it come to Caitlin Clark. Bruh, how we one game away for the start of the season, and we have already Caitlin Clark getting fouled extremely hard. Look back at the referee like, damn. So what are we looking at going forward? What does all of this mean, not just for Caitlin Clark herself, but for the Indiana Fever and the league at large? Because this isn't just about a missed whistle or poor officiating. This is a symptom of something larger, a culture that targets its biggest star rather than uplifts her. Let's start with Caitlin. She's not just a promising player anymore. She's the centerpiece of women's basketball. She's the name casual fans know. She's why sold-out crowds are showing up. She's why TV ratings are climbing. But that spotlight isn't free. It comes with an immense price tag, and for Caitlin, that price has been absorbing relentless physical punishment, enduring non-stop criticism, and playing through a lack of basic protection. Just look at the way she held it together during that Atlanta Dream game. Players were draped on her like coats on a rack, and the referees stood by in silence, but she didn't lose her temper. She didn't argue or lash out. She just kept moving, kept making plays. That step-back three she nailed in the middle of the chaos. That wasn't just a highlight. That was a statement. That was resilience. That was mental toughness at its finest, and no one gives her enough props for that side of her game. But here's the real concern. How long can she carry that weight alone? How long can she be the star, the face, the hero, the punching bag, and still perform at the level the league demands? The WNBA wants her to carry the torch, but refuses to protect her from the fire. And the Indiana Fever? This team is still figuring itself out. It's young, talented, and trying to build something sustainable. Caitlin is their engine, but even the best engines need maintenance and protection. You can see what she's capable of already, averaging 14.5 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds in limited minutes during the preseason, with shooting splits that scream superstar. But imagine how much more she could do if she wasn't being shoved around like a pinball. When she's battling through 2 defenders from baseline to baseline and not getting a single call, it drags the whole offense down. It stunts the rhythm. It affects every player on the floor. This isn't just about her stats. It's about what the team could be if the game were officiated fairly. And then there's the message all this sends to the next generation. Young hoopers watching at home, kids who idolize Caitlin Clark, they're paying attention. They see her getting hacked, blamed, and called out for things others get away with. What do they learn from that? That being great comes with a penalty. That if you shine too brightly, the system won't support you. That if you stand out, you're fair game. That's not the legacy the league should be building. The WNBA has a decision to make. Either it stands behind the players who are driving the growth of the sport, or it risks alienating the very stars who could take it to new heights. Because right now, it looks a lot like Caitlin Clark is being punished for her popularity, for her excellence, for her difference. But if there's one thing we've learned, it's that Caitlin was made for this moment. She's not retreating. She's evolving. She's finding new ways to win, to lead, to inspire. She's not just enduring the hits, she's transforming them into fuel. She's not waiting for the refs to validate her game. She's letting her shot do the talking. Even as she's targeted, even as the media twists the narrative, she keeps showing up, keeps stepping up, and keeps showing out. So yes, the footage confirms what we already suspected. She's being singled out. But it also confirms something even more important. She's still thriving, still shooting, still shifting the culture, and we can't let the conversation stop here. If you believe Caitlin Clark deserves a level playing field, the same fair treatment and respect given to every other star in the league, then raise your voice. Let's make sure her name, her game, and her grit are celebrated the way they deserve to be.